Okay, this is the way I'll set this feather in, and I'll draw it. This one that goes up the middle is pretty straight, and it's this cut right here. I'll run the V-tool down each side of that, and I'll cut in a feather, and that'll come down like that. Now, all the rest of the feathers will be that size. And what I'll do, I'll run a gouge just on these lines. Let me show you, such as this. Like that line there. Hold on. Like that line. I'll just cut that down like that. Now, since the next feather's raised up, I'll get my flat gouge and I'll cut it down to the bottom of this cut here. I'm doing this where you can get a better view of it. It's not the easiest way to carve it. And so for the next one, you can see there's that line there. The next feather will be like that, and usually a feather have one side a little bit off as far as where the vein goes through it. So part of this feather, I like for it to look like it's under the top feather. So it'll kind of be shorter. Here's the line, and I'll run it out to there. And like on this side, need about that far, put it there. And then, oops. Bring it back in there for the second feather. And I'll do this through the whole headdress, and then I'll put in some decorative cuts. But I'll take this off here and do this. I've still left the back pretty thick, and I'll just shape the outside of the front, and then I'll come back in and thin this out some. With the chisel, not with just ripping it out with my bare hands. Well, my tripod just tripped over. The camera lens broke off the camera. Now I've got this huge lens on there to kind of zoom in. Not because I wanted to, but out of necessity. Alright, we're going to do this headdress. This is the shaft of the middle feather. And I just draw this line pretty much straight up the face. And get in front of you there a little bit. Alright. And that feather looks pretty balanced. Out like that. I went on this side with the 14 millimeter number 11 gouge. Did do a little bit of reshaping. On the feathers, just made them kind of flatter. And then after I make that cut, I take a big V tool, and this one I'm using, it's a Swiss made, and it's called number 12. I don't know what millimeters this is. Anyway, it's a big one. And I'll lay it down and let the heel of that cut on the side of that feather. This kind of just speeds up the process instead of making a cut straight up and then doing that. This also flattens out the next feather. Kind of puts it where it should be. Okay, now I've got this feather sticking up, and I just know I've got the line where the shaft is, and I'll take a big gouge. And make some S-shaped cuts. Kind of alternate them, kind of random pattern. And again, this was taught to me by a guy in Branson called John Henry Thompson. Named John Henry Thompson. And he taught a class on carving 3-foot cigar store Indians. And this is the way he made them. And it's kind of stylized. You can do a realistic one if you want and just have kind of a flat feather. I like this one. This is not realistic, but I like the way it looks after it's painted. I think it's a much better makeup for this. And then I'll go in with just a smaller gouge, and I'm just cutting these same S's. And I do run them off the end of the feather. And I'll put some out there. Now one of the last things I'll do, go in with a smaller V tool. This is a Henry Taylor, some number 41. And I'll just make some cuts along the S cuts that I made. And then out toward the end, I'll just make several like it's the end of the feather, and I'll go back in on the top parts or the high parts of the feathers and make marks just to kind of indicate these individual little feather parts. Now I'll get a smaller V. Just back to the Swiss. This is a Swiss numbering system, 16/3 millimeter, and I'll just cut the vein or the shaft, and get deep up here at the front, and as it goes back, less and less deep. Okay, now I want to get over and check this shaft, see where it is. And I will go ahead and cut it in now just so I know where I'm going with that. Now, and I do usually put these in to begin with, the first part, this little shaft part. And now again, I'll just repeat the same thing right here on this feather. Cut that feather down, get the big V, lay it over on its side so the heel can cut the next feather. And then I'll go back and cut the S's, do that, and I'm going to do that down this whole side, and that's going to include me having to take some of this off and shape this, because I'm getting this shape the way it should be, so I'm going to do that.